sea change, tree change, but another spread of people we want to talk about is big business is spreading across New South Wales and out to the rural areas. Stay tuned for more. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Morning Minutes. Myself, Michael Bergio, Mark Novak, episode 338. While we talk about the spread of the virus, let's talk about the spread of big business and people, in particular, moving from the city, northern beaches, rural areas. We've had a couple agents from Coffs Harbour out in rural areas, and they're just saying the amount of people they're getting making that transition, but not just the people, Mark, the businesses endorsing it. You can almost say letting the shackles off the employees. Like, just obviously it was embraced by necessity, but I don't know if the shackles will snap back on straight away. I think the people are enjoying the spread of the freedom of working remotely.
And Tom Panos, trainer on a Sunday night, was talking about it, where an executive used to go to Melbourne. They used to they'd lose the day. Say it was Monday, they'd lose to jumping in a plane, getting in position, getting there. Then Monday night they'd be paying for accommodation, meals, transfers, Ubers. Then they'd have a meeting on Tuesday and fly back, Uber home. And on the flight. So, $1,000 or $2,000 companies were dishing out, plus the labour of that person, it's just incredible how we have opened ourselves up to the opportunity of doing business by video, and that's completely changed the landscape of working from home and efficiency. And I don't think anyone's really. I think it's happened without us really noticing, and the residual is what we want to talk about today.
Yeah, how insane does it just sound when you go, why would someone outlay a couple grand for a meeting interstate when you can do a Zoom call?
For 1 hour.
Now, don't get us wrong here. We're in like the relationship business, so we totally understand some meetings have to be face-to-face, potentially new clients where you need that rapport building, and there's more work done after the meeting going for lunch than in that meeting. We get that.
Yep.
We're not going to choose a Zoom call over a listing presentation when we can. So we understand that. But I reckon there would have been 80%, if not higher, of meetings where it was the executive just going, I just want to get away. Like, this is the best. So, but that's a big burden on the company and where money could go, but also just crashing through that barrier of, it's almost like the penny dropped for a lot of people. I think it's the easiest way to describe it, going, yeah, why would we outlay 5 people to go or 1 person? Pennies dropped for a lot of people.
Want to go on video. You know, they're a bit video shy, but that's having a big effect on property, guys. That is having a catastrophic effect on the CBD of Sydney, on tree change and sea change suburbs. Like, there's a lot of winners and a lot of losers from this change, but I can't help to think that that individuals are the winners, families are the winners, and I can't help to think that businesses are the winners as well. But it's certainly turning everything upside down and it's on its head. And what you and I were saying off air, Michael, is there was this ambition of getting back to work by the end of the year by most corporates in the CBD. That's been smashed. And your mate was saying it was getting busy, but I think that at the moment it's probably going to go the other way.
Yeah, and I think Andrew from Ramsey, Andrew Ramsey, Gold Coast is booming. Good to have you on. I think also there's that mindset. Just because you're not physically there does not mean the work's not getting done. I 100% reckon for the first month or 2 of lockdown, nothing was getting done. But once you thought those winners and losers broke through, and there's plenty of people who make the most of, if not are more productive. And I think some businesses will realize that. But I also believe they're going to have the resistance from people who are like, well, why do I have to travel in when I'm getting more work done outside of it. I'm living on the northern beaches. I'm living in the country. Why don't we move our head office here? Why were we in the city? So I reckon, and we've heard that a lot from the people we've had. Well, two things. We've had a lot of people who broke through at the later years, just saying, "Let's just go. Why are we here? Let's move." And also, like what you said about Amazon. Do you want to go through that before, just their mindset?
Good buddy and client of mine was told by his company that, and most of their senior staff, look, we don't have ambitions of anyone coming back at all. Amazon's always at the forefront of digital. They've done some crazy shit in the last 5 or 10 years that's actually worked. And their latest one is just telling all their crew, look, just work, we're not going to be, there's no necessity for you to come in at all. We're going to run efficiently without a big CBD office. So, I can't help but to think, just want to say g'day to Marty. Sadly, he reckons we should open up in Tamworth. I can't help but to think, I'm old-fashioned, I reckon, and I can't help to think that you can't have that efficiency by not having a CBD office. But if you consider, I don't know what the P&L sheets looks like on most companies, but if you consider that we're actually 9 months into COVID and we've actually, these big businesses have survived and profited are probably at the same rate, majority of businesses in the CBD at the same rate by decentralising. And I think that I use the word that COVID had a gun to the head of some major corporates because they couldn't get their staff into the CBD buildings. I don't know if they're going to be rushing again after what's happened in Melbourne, after what's happening in the Northern Beaches, and after what initially happened, to have these big central operations in the CBD. Their profits are good. They're going through the third wave of COVID in the Northern Beaches of Sydney. I just, and now if that's just, Michael, that's just going off offices. Then if we go off the patterns of the individual people going into the offices, that's big. Because if you've got a building filled of 1,000 people that you're no longer filling 1,000 people into, those 1,000 people are not only is there no necessity for that building, but these other 1,000 people are having sea change and tree change effects, thinking, well, I don't need to go to the offices frequently. I don't need to go in the office. So I'm going to move.
Well, let's do those numbers. 1,000. Anyone going from basically anywhere into the city is an hour there, hour back. So that's 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
1,000 people. So that's 1,000 people times 2. Like numbers. Imagine that over a year in labour you're benefiting from. But
you don't even have to have a shower for 3 days either.
Yeah, exactly. And you know what? Another door will open, or new processes on how they can monitor that productivity. Because that's going to be the big concern. But that's where people pivot. That's where people adapt on, okay, they will make it work. If saving, say, 1 million hours of employees not having that centralized office in one of the most unproductive ways to get there, then that's going to open the door for many different options. Yes, it's going to suck for retail. Yes, it's going to suck for restaurants and all that. But there's going to be that evolution. Just to let people know, because we cross-post on 15 channels, we don't see all comments. So I know there's a couple here on the Novak one. There's a couple. So just to flag it, if you're on the Novak, well, I've got 2 Novak ones running. Anyway.
If you're on Novak Properties FB, you'll get your comments streamed live.
Yes.
Marty just sent Claire, g'day buddy, we're driving efficiencies by what we're talking about. That's true. I've got a question for you in a sec, Michael. Marty says, we have audited our last 1,000 depreciation schedules to determine how far people live from their investment properties. I'd love to know the answer on that. But you know what? Honest question. Those 2 hours of not travelling to the CBD, what have people done with those 2 hours? Honest question. Love to know people's response. Are they jamming that straight into sitting at the desk and pumping it out into their work? Or are they going for a walk around the block and getting more exercise? Are they spending that with their kids? Those 2 hours a day, that's 10 hours a week. That's a working day a week. What are guys actually doing with that? That's a pretty cool and interesting thing. You may find that people have actually injected that into work. You may find that they have they've injected that into their lifestyle. I don't know. But in today, and what was today's topic?
Sea change, tree change through the spread of big business, decentralizing from the city.
So going into 2021. On the back of sea change, tree change going into the CBD, what do you think the trends are going to be with property, Mr. Bergio?
I think, just on your comment before about the extra day of a week, even if people put that in work, even if they did 50-50 work lifestyle, you always hear the people struggling with the balance of lifestyle and work. And when work outweighs it, then eventually it catches up. Even if they can find that balance between more work, more lifestyle, and be more consistent, that's going to have long benefits going forward. Now, I think with 2021, I think half the big business, I think people are always reluctant for big change and people snap back into formation, you could say, for right or wrong. I think there will be...
I like that word.
Yeah, half the businesses, half the people will go back into formation. But I do reckon there'll be probably 25% who are going, let's go back to formation, but let's make this permanent, what they've experienced now, but let's set it up properly. And then I think there's going to be a good 25% of businesses just say, no, let's run with this. Everything's better for us. There's some that it won't work. Some may be very integrated with other businesses. Some of the bosses may love the social nightlife of the city and they're like, fuck it, we're all staying here. Like, we love this. We benefit because there are a lot of businesses and sort of those brokering and finances, that's all about those relationships. I've got plenty of buddies where their job is basically wine and dining executives. So they're going to love that sort of city lifestyle to run with it. So, yeah, I think we're going to be realistic. A lot of people love snapping back, but then it will get infectious of the freedom of some businesses. Employees will start choosing those businesses, and then those other businesses will start to adapt and look at ways to do it. So that's sort of my pick. And then with property, you're just going to have, I think the city will get bigger. We already know they're creating 3 types of city CBDs with the master plan of Sydney, Western Sydney, and the other one. So they may get wider.
It's a crazy world. It's a bloody crazy world. So all in all, property, I reckon if you're a sea change suburb, you're going to do very well. I think if you're a CBD centric suburb, I think you may be straining a little bit because of the decentralisation. I think with corporates going into 2021 and with 3 waves of COVID, I think that anyone who thought that their business was going to go back to normal and how it was through the second and third wave of COVID, I think they've now sobered up and thought, you know what, we need to make permanent changes. I think profitability is as efficient as it has been. Efficiencies have been as efficient as it has been. The future's bright. The future's bright, and we know, and you know, with what's happening on the northern beaches with COVID, I think we know what to do, as you say, to go into formation to get through this.
And you know what happens? When things are going down, it's either that fight or flight. So let's say city CBD prices do go down and it is less desirable. Then there's going to be that sort of rebirth of how do we make it more desirable? Rebuilding the infrastructure in and out of the CBD. Rebuilding the buildings in and out. Let's change it up. They're going to look at it and going, well, if people are leaving to go somewhere else, what can we benefit here? The Sydney CBD has had a stranglehold of prestige, perception, and where big business is. So it evolves. Think of DY from, like, for us, how it was for so long, where there was no money injection. It was just stagnant, and then it got that sort of rebirth. So
gentrification, huge. Huge.
Yeah. So, and when things go really, really well, it's like anyone. The hardest thing of that sort of success is keep improving, keep practicing when you do get a certain level. And when complacency sets in, it goes down. It's just like, and it happens with building maintenance as well. When you've got the best tenants, a lot of owners go, well, I've got the best. What do I need to improve it for? But when you go to a country town and you can almost buy the block and build the best building out there, then and people and staff will go to that. So it'll be interesting.
Interesting. Well, I'm going to go chop up a cow.
Yeah, you'd enjoy that. See you guys, Luke. Good to see you. Luke said, "Go Norman. Peeps will come back to the city in 2 to 3 years." Yeah, I agree. All right. Thanks, guys. Cheers.
See you, buddy. Wish me luck. Cow chopping time. See ya.